Hi there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Agent 365, Governing the Workforce You Didn't Hire. I am Ben Lockwood. I'm a technical architect with Concurrency in the workplace enablement team. And today we also have with us Drew Johnson.
Hello. Yeah, Drew Johnson, senior solution engineer at Microsoft. Been there now about a year and 5 months, I want to say. So still kind of a newbie. I'm actually also a former employee for Concurrency. So I was excited to be able to come in and speak to you all today. So pleasure.
So the goal of this session is to talk about how we can support you in driving agents adoption at scale and moving from experimenting with agents to embedding them into the core of all enterprise operations. Agent 365 was built with one single purpose: to accelerate AI adoption by delivering visibility, control, and protection for rapidly evolving AI assets. The key to anchor on is simple. Agents need to be managed with the same rigor as users, apps, and devices, and Agent 365 is how we do that. So one quick note before we get started here: if you're interested in staying connected with Concurrency, feel free to scan the QR code or search Concurrency Inc. in LinkedIn. On there, we'll post which webinars we have going on, blogs, and any other information. So please feel free to get connected with us and learn more about what we can do and how we can help you. So agents are becoming ubiquitous. We are quickly entering a state where agents are no longer experimental. They are rapidly becoming a foundational layer for how work gets done. Embedded in applications, automating workflows, collaborating with employees and each other, and acting on behalf of the business. Industry forecasts make the scale of this shift clear. Analysts project that there will be more than 1.3 billion agents in operation by 2028, signaling a massive acceleration from isolated assistants to fleets of autonomous agents operating across the enterprise. This is not a distant future scenario. It's a near-term reality that IT leaders need to prepare for now. As agents proliferate, the challenge is no longer, can we build agents? The challenge is, can we manage them confidently and securely at scale? And once technology leaders start scaling agents, the same key questions are top of mind for most organizations. It starts with the most fundamental question: can we track all agents that exist in an organization? Understand who and how is using agents and what agents are doing. Next, technology leaders are looking to establish guardrails and processes around who can onboard and manage agents and what those agents are allowed to do. And finally, security leaders are asking questions whether those agents are properly protected. Do we understand what risks are targeting those agents? What resources and data can they access? And are those properly protected too? Without this foundation, agent adoption can quickly lead to sprawl, unmanaged access, and operational risk, and threaten the productivity gains that agents promise. Now let's make this a little more concrete, because agent sprawl isn't a single problem. It compounds across three distinct surfaces, each with its own risk profile. First, we have SaaS agents. Employees are discovering and adopting AI agents through the web every day, often without IT ever knowing. Think of this as the next evolution of shadow IT. The questions are here. What agents are employees actually using via the internet? What are the risk levels of those agents? And critically, what sensitive information is being shared with them? Without visibility, every one of these interactions is a potential data leak waiting to happen. Second, we have endpoint agents. This is where the risk gets more tangible. Employees are installing and running agents directly on their devices, laptops, desktops, and mobile. These agents may have deep access to local files, credentials, and system resources. The questions shift to: what security guardrails are built into those agents? What access and permissions are employees granting? An over-permissioned agent on an endpoint is essentially a new attack vector sitting right on the device. Third, there's cloud agents. Developers across your organization are building and deploying agents on various cloud and AI platforms, often across multi-cloud environments. These are the agents with the deepest integrations. They connect to APIs, MCP servers, data stores, and other agents. The questions here are about vulnerabilities that could be exploited by attackers and whether the platforms themselves provide sufficient built-in guardrails. A single misconfigured cloud agent can become an entry point into your broader infrastructure. These three surfaces don't just add risk, they multiply it. A SaaS agent that an employee grants access to can reach endpoint data. A cloud agent can invoke loads or tools that touch SaaS and endpoint resources. The sprawl compounds because agents interact across these boundaries in ways that traditional security models weren't designed for. These are exactly the challenges that are being solved with Agent 365. Agent 365 is the control plane for agents that enable the scaling of adoption of agents with proper oversight and guardrails. Agent 365 helps you move from agent experimentation to enterprise scale operations with 3 core capability areas. First comes observe, because you cannot control what you cannot see. So Agent 365 gives you the full picture of all agents in your organization, their usage patterns and behaviors, so you can take action based on what you see. Next, govern, which means establishing guardrails for agents and users, creating IT-led processes, and having the right compliance to be audit ready. And finally, secure. Secure agents because just as any other asset in your environment, agents need strong protections, from protecting their identities and access to safeguarding data they use and defending them against threats and vulnerabilities. Now let's go deeper into what you already do with the Agent 365 in each of those capability areas. Let's start with observability. This is the most fundamental set of capabilities in Agent 365 that makes everything else possible. Agents come from many different sources in most organizations. Everyone from professional developers with pro code tools to AI-savvy knowledge workers are creating agents. Plus, users are increasingly adopting agents accessible online, which makes it easy to lose visibility into existing and unmanaged shadow agents. Agents are coming from everywhere. Users are using SaaS agents. Users are installing and running agents on their devices. And developers are building and deploying agents in multi-cloud, multi-platform environments. But for most organizations, the core question is still unanswered. What agents exist in my organization and who is using them? That lack of visibility creates immediate risk. You can't track usage, understand behavior, or see how agents connect across your environment. And without that foundation, it's impossible to govern or secure agents at scale. The moment we know what agents exist, the most pressing question is how to get those agents under control. Governance isn't about slowing teams down. It's about putting the right guardrails in place from day one. Without governance, agent adoption becomes inconsistent and unsustainable. Reviews and ownership vary, lifecycle management breaks down, and IT ultimately loses confidence in the system. Agent 365 extends IT's existing policy-driven governance to agents, controlling who can create and onboard them, and enforcing guardrails as they evolve, so innovation can scale with the right controls in place. The result is governance that enables scale instead of blocking it. IT can say yes to agent innovation because the right controls are already in place. As we've discussed, agents can span across SaaS, local, and cloud environments and operate through APIs and MCPs, so governance quickly becomes complex. The key question is, what agents can organizations manage and how can they do it at scale? Without the right governance, risky or unethical agent interactions go undetected. You can't retain or investigate activity for compliance, and you lose visibility into what agents are actually doing. At that point, organizations can experiment with agents, but they can't confidently scale them. The third capability area that is at the heart of Agent 365 is security. Because agents are ubiquitous, they exponentially expand surface area that must be protected. Without proper security, they can become a new pathway for data exposure, misuse, or unintended behavior, often without obvious signs until damage is already done. And because they behave more like users, but structurally are more like apps, our security model must account for those unique characteristics of agents. The agent era introduces new layers of interaction and risk. Users can now create their own agents, adopt SaaS-based agents, or deploy agents directly on endpoints, rapidly increasing agent sprawl across the enterprise. And while the classic protections still matter, securing human-to-agent prompts and agent-to-human responses, they're not enough on their own. Why? Because agents have new interaction paths. They interact with other agents, tools, and apps, creating an expanded threat landscape with 2 dimensions of security challenges. 1, increased interaction points across agent-to-agent, agent-to-tool, and agent-to-app, communications requiring expanded monitoring. 2, broader threat categories beyond data oversharing and leakage, including identity and privilege abuse, tool misuse and exploitation, and insecure inter-agent communication. Agent 365 was built to address this shift, helping you observe, govern, and secure agents at scale. Now let's break that down and understand these new threat vectors and scenarios in the agent era. So let's take a look at a demo right now of Agent 365.
Before we get into the demo, one of the things I wanted to share is that there's two main things that we see with organizations who are interested in Agent 365. You have what's called agent proliferation, and then you also have what's called agent sprawl, which Ben touched on earlier. So essentially, agent proliferation is the act of an organization starting to adopt an agentic platform. They have several different agents that are being built. It's, essentially AI growth. And it's one of the things that we kind of refer to as frontier transformation, right? So you have that, but then you also have what's called agent sprawl. So agent sprawl is essentially a matter of the agents just being completely out of control, right? You got duplicate agents, you got agents without owners, you got people, using agents that probably aren't even necessarily approved. So you got all those kind of things that can absolutely exist in your environment. And sometimes a lot of IT teams don't even know it. That's kind of where Agent 365 comes into play. So one of the few things that I wanted to touch on as far as people that may be interested in getting it for their organization. The first thing is Agent 365 does require E5 license prerequisite in order to use it. That's one of the main things that the tenant has to have. More importantly, if you purchase Agent 365, you have two ways of doing it. You can do it by either E7 license, which is bundled with Copilot, your typical E5 services that you already get. And let's see, Copilot, Agent 365, there's some other things in that too. And then you also could do, if you wanted to do a separate SKU, you can do a $15 per month per user SKU as well. A lot of people were confused about Agent 365, thinking that it initially was assigned to agents. It's not. It's actually assigned to the user. You mainly would purchase Agent 365 for people that are building agents a lot. If they are managing agents, they have, several agents they have access to. Those are the kind of people that you would consider getting the Agent 365 license for. So I'm going to take you through a quick click through demo, and then I'm going to show you my demo tenant and show you some more details about Agent 365. All right. So you guys should see the screen. Let me pull my other screen up. All right. So here's just kind of the home interface of Agent 365, right? So you access it in the admin center. On the left up the top up there, you would click on agents. And then this is basically the home page, right? So this is just a quick snapshot. Basically, Agent 365 kind of took pointers from all the other offerings that we have. So you have, Agent 365 that can exist in Purview. You have it where it can exist in Entra, and then of course the home page where the Agent 365 lives. We wanted to do that because we wanted to make the migration to Agent 365 seamless and not so confusing for admins. Obviously, we built it on a similar interface that people are already used to. All right, so here's just a quick breakdown of where the agents are, how they're created, how they're shared by users. You can see here, you got information about the publishers, active users over time. It gives you, basically everything you need to see, right? It's all here. So I'm going to click on all agents. And this is basically going to take you to essentially all the agents that you have in your environment. Now, every agent is essentially onboarded using a sort of registry system. Every agent is assigned a unique ID so that it can be identified just like an end user or a device, right? You get an ID that you can reference that agent, and basically that ID is unique to that specific agent. I'm gonna click this first one here, Zava Fabric Supplier. And here's more details about some stuff you can see, right? So if I click the users tab, I can see all the people that are a part of this will have access to this agent. If you notice, there's a sales department in there, so that's actually a group. But you also have users. So you have several different people that have access to this, right? So then if I go over to data and tools, you get more details. This is honestly just the great thing about Agent 365 is it's a ton of detail, right? All things that matter to your IT admins when it comes to governing and protecting your environment. I'm gonna click on security and compliance. So as you can see, you have more details about the agents that are being monitored, anything that's being protected from sensitive data. And then you can even jump between different admin centers right from this page. So you have like Microsoft Defender protections. If you click that, it'll take you over to Entra, take you over to Defender to see additional details. Typically, when us here at Microsoft present Agent 365 to a customer, we usually partner with our security pals because Agent 365 is mainly as a security feature. However, because I'm considered a co-pilot engineer, we have a say-so and a talk track for it as well, just because it kind of cross paths with both co-pilot and security. So on this screen, you can just get a picture, a snapshot of the permissions. So as you can see down here, the Microsoft Graph APIs, these permissions probably look similar to some of the admins. This kind of dictates what kind of rights these agents have, what they're allowed to do. Obviously, you have toggles to turn these on and off in a moment's notice, which is great. Again, it's just high visibility into everything as it relates to agents. So if I go back to the home page, I'm going to click on Agent at Risk. We want to take a look at that. So you can set up alerts so that your admin is automatically notified if there's risk with an agent that exists in your environment. So if I click on this one, change management agent, let's see what's going on with this one, why it's giving us an error. So it says high risk detected. High risk and agents may be a security threat for your organization. Risks are only available for 90 days. Reach out to your security admin to investigate, to resolve any risk or block this agent, right? So even if you don't know what to do with this agent, right now, you have the option to block it until you figure out exactly what's wrong with it. It's pretty critical that that's done as soon as possible because, again, you don't know exactly what's causing the risk, and you need to be able to figure it out, and you need to stop use of it while you investigate. So if we click block, again, just a normal window like you would see whenever you're toggling a setting on an admin center. If you block this agent, people in your organization can't install or use it. It will be removed from any user who has already installed it. So block agents, I'm gonna hit save. And now that agent is completely blocked from being able to access the environment. Now, without Agent 365, right, you have agents that exist out in your environment that could be doing things like that, and you don't have any notification or way of knowing that this agent is essentially causing potential risk. I'm gonna click on this next agent here, the Zava procurement agent. And what I want to do is what you can see a lot of times too in Agent 365 is that you'll have a lot of what's called ownerless agents. And that essentially means that there's an agent that hasn't been assigned an owner for whatever reason. Maybe someone created in Copilot Studio and then just kind of left it be. That is also one of the reasons that agent governance is important. I've seen a ton of organizations who set up, for instance, let's say they're using ServiceNow. They'll set up a page where you have to submit a request for an agent, and then it goes through a review process, and then it's eventually deployed to the environment if it's approved. That's the sort of thing that you want to watch out for. So if you in conjunction with using Agent 365 and having a proper governance, application process set into place, this gives you the best outlook on keeping your environment secure. I'm gonna click here. I'm gonna click assign new owner, and I'm gonna look for owner. I'll click search. I'm going to add Robin as the owner of this agent. So just like that, now you have an agent that does not have an owner. The agent now has an owner assigned to it. So another thing you can also do is rules. Now, some people might be familiar with rules when it comes to Exchange, or mainly Exchange, where you can set rules within your tenant, but that's also an option for Agent 365 as well. So I'm going to click on this. Because basically what I want to do is I want to make a rule that's going to automate some of the agent features here. So I'm going to click on add rule. I'm going to give it a name. So we'll call it reassign ownerless agents to manager, right? Obviously you give it a description, let other admins know what the rule does and who it applies to. Assign an owner to a manager. Again, this is important when you have agents that are just kind of sitting out there and don't have anyone assigned to it. The other thing you want to think about as well is agent lifecycle. And essentially lifecycle means that you can set an agent where, if it's not used in a certain amount of time, you can, go through and request that whoever is still using the agent, if they actually still need it, or if they don't need it, then, let you know, and then you can just remove it from your environment. So I'm gonna click next here. And then basically this is just kind of giving you a final look in details before we turn the rule on. These are agents that are essentially connected to the rule. So I'm going to click turn on rule. And just like that, the rule is on. So easy and simple. All right. So going back to the all agents page, And again, just kind of retouching on agent lifecycle. I want to click on map up here. And this is really cool. A lot of customers really enjoy seeing this visual. So you can basically zoom in and see the connection map, which shows how each agent is interacting with other agents, right? That's also something that's going to be critical. If you have an agent that has certain permissions to do certain things or access certain data in your environment, you also want to know if there are other agents that are connected to that agent somehow and possibly able to feed information from the other agent. I'm going to click next. And then it just kind of goes into a deep dive into the agent. So I'm going to click on this bubble over here. And you can see you have this comms agent, but then you also have, it's connected to the distribution agent, it's connected to the compliance agent, the learning guy, and then the procurement strategy agent, right? So all these agents are essentially connected to this agent in some way. They're dependents of this agent. If I go over to the comms agent, I basically can get performance stats on the agent, how many active users per day, some of the sessions that have happened, exceptions, assisted hours. So all these details here will give you, a better look at what the agent is actually doing. And honestly, if you go into this page and you don't see any real activity, that lets you know that this agent is potentially a candidate to be removed from your environment because it's not being used. So that's it for this part. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to go to my demo tenant just to show you guys real quick some stuff in there. All right. So we actually had some issues recently where it was a little difficult to get our demo tenant set up in a way where we can actually show it and really be impactful to people that see it. So we eventually were able to figure out a way to get hydrated content into our demo tenant. So this is all fake content. It's not real. This is just generic information about Agent 365. So I'm gonna click over here on Shadow AI. So Shadow AI is essentially where you have people that are using agents that are more than likely not approved or not something that's explicitly not allowed in your environment. Your Agent 365 has the ability to detect information like that, and you'll see it all here on this pane. So I'm gonna move over to actually I'm gonna go to Entra real quick. So earlier I was talking about the registry. So this is the part where the agents are actually onboarded. If I go over to actually, you see this agent IDs. Yeah. Okay. So this is essentially the home page for your agent identities. Again, each agent is assigned a unique ID. So if I click on actually technically this is what's called blueprints. But if you're curious about your agent's identity, what they're doing, or when they've been created, any of that information is going to exist right here. So as you can see, I have several agents that I've onboarded. So if I click on it, this looks very similar to IT admins, right? You have the options for conditional access, permissions, because again, agents are basically treated just like a normal user. And then let me go back to here. Let's see. I think it was one other thing I wanted to show you. Let's see, tools. Actually, you guys saw the map already. There. You go down. Look quick. I'm trying to get you guys to see some agents that have some additional risk so that you can see it in real time. So that was in here. Well, basically, what I was going to show is just a more detailed look at what we saw earlier, which is, seeing agents that have risks associated with them. Again, you have several different ways you can go about blocking and securing those agents. You can go through and change the permissions out. You can also, another great thing is you can give agents conditional access policies. You can add them to, essentially whatever policies you have in your environment. It's treated just like an actual user. So I'm going to pass it back to Ben. Stop sharing.
Real quick, Drew, from what I can tell, there's a question. If you block an agent, is there something telling users it's temporarily out of service so that calls don't start coming into operations/help desk? My understanding is it basically disappears the agent, or they lose access to it. So if they do have it as an agent in Copilot or in Teams, then it just is gone essentially while it's blocked. And so you probably would get a call or a ticket.
And that's a good question, Jerry. So if an agent is blocked, I haven't actually try to access a blocked agent, but I would imagine that, even if there isn't any, any notification that says that the agent is out of service, they're going to know because they can't use it. So, I mean, you're probably going to get calls anyway. So this would be a great solution for, or I guess, basically trying to stop the storm before it starts. Reach out to either your help desk teams or, maybe even who specifically own the agent, giving them some sort of email saying, hey, this agent is out of service temporarily, blah, blah, blah. Something to just let them know that, hey, don't continue calling to the help desk trying to figure out what's going on with the agent. We're working on it, and we'll be in touch when we have an update. So, but great question.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew. So Agent 365 is not just for agents that were built with Microsoft AI Builder platforms. From the start, Agent 365 was designed to work with any agent and already have the broad ecosystem of partners, platforms, and agent builders that are connecting through the Agent 365 ecosystem. This is more than just Microsoft tools. It's a full ecosystem of ISVs, AI platforms, and enterprise SaaS providers coming together to enable agents to work securely and effectively across your organization. All it takes is integration with Agent 365 SDK, which is also included into Microsoft's agent framework. Whether you're using Microsoft first solutions or tools from across the industry, Agent 365 provides a unified, secure foundation for bringing all of those agents into your environment in a consistent, governed way. The fastest path to getting agents under control is by managing them in a similar manner to managing users. With Agent 365, you extend existing infrastructure and protections from people to agents and integrate agent management into existing workflows with familiar Microsoft solutions across a distributed control plane. So the more of these different tools that you're implementing within your organization, the greater the visibility is going to be within Agent 365. Agent 365 helps you move from scattered agent pilots to a governed, repeatable rollout across your enterprise. It speeds deployment across teams, plugs agents into the workflows that actually drive outcomes, and adds the controls that IT cares about, so you cut misconfigurations, user error, and security gaps. This results in faster time to value, lower operational risk, and the confidence to scale AI as a standard capability across the business. So as Drew talked about a little bit, this is offered through the new E7 Frontier suite. And he did mention, that E5 is necessary in order to have this. That new E7 includes the Entra suite, 365 Copilot, as well as Agent 365. Just another look here at what you get with E7 versus the individual on the list prices. So an E5 is $60, Entra suite is $12, Copilot's $30, Agent 365 $15, or you can do it all in the E7 suite for $99.
Yeah, and real quick, just to touch on that, Ben. So if you are considering, let's say you're an organization that still has E3, which I feel really bad for you if you still have E3. But if you're an organization that has E3, for example, and you're looking to upgrade to E5, but you also are considering Copilot, depending on how the pricing structure is, it may be better to just go to E7 because you get that bundle. And then also, again, you have that additional security for Agent 365. If you use E5 and you use a per user per month Agent 365 license, obviously that's good. That's going to give you a pretty secure environment. But again, if you would simply just bundle all that together, you probably could save some money. Sorry, Ben, go ahead.
Nope, you're good. All right, so next steps. Are you interested in a Agent 365 readiness assessment? Discover what's required to securely deploy, govern, and scale Agent 365 across your organization with a personalized readiness assessment. We also have a survey. Let us know how you think we did. There might be an option to fill out what other topics you're interested in. I don't know. I forget what's all in that survey, but please fill out the survey. Let us know how things went. Give you a minute there to scan that. And lastly, just want to say thank you for coming and watching our webinar. Please remember to follow us on LinkedIn. And with that, appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your day.